talk about just, I think, really I want to say a lot of the influence of culture in women today and perhaps the impact on our mental health, but primarily also asking about the education world and I would say, the stigma around it, the struggles around it. So, Rachel, welcome back. Thank you for being here all the way from almost down under, right to the side. I don't know what they call New Zealand. Is it still down under? I don't know.
We're down under. Yeah, it's morning in New Zealand, so thanks for having me back here, January. It's such a privilege to come and sit in this space with you and share this mission that you have for the world and for women's hearts. It's going
Well,
to be a beautiful conversation.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. Our last conversation was very rich and it was really rich with a lot of depth. So, we're going to maybe pick up where we left off. But first off, I just want to, again, maybe just give the audience a little bit about who you are, maybe 3 words, and maybe your own personal mission that has sort of evolved through the work in the women's school.
So 3 words to describe me. I'm just going to be a broken record and go back to like how I
Love it.
described myself before. It hasn't changed. I am adventurous, mostly calm, and what's the other thing I said? Oh, a homebody. Gosh, I love being home. I wish I could be home today. It would be so nice.
Really?
It's
You're a homebody. I don't think that was one of yours from the last time. I don't remember that, but wow, homebody. I'm a homebody, actually.
oh, yeah.
Um,
I'm speaking your language. I love home.
um,
Yeah.
so your mission, how do you think has evolved through your experience in the women's school? How are you discovering your place in culture right now?
So the mission through the women's school. I didn't know I had a mission before I came to the women's school. I didn't know. I knew I would could choose a career, and I knew choose to travel, and I'm a Western woman. I have a lot of choice, but I didn't know that I had a mission.
Mm,
And as I went through your masterclass, all these phrases, and then the training would come up like that women have the seeds of grace to sow in every room that they walk into, that
mhm,
we impact every room that we walk into, that we're called to be a light. And I sat in your training and I was like, what? Oh, I never thought of that before. So that was really impactful. And I was receiving that kind of language and that kind of training for mission at the age of 51. So if you're
mhm.
listening, and please don't wait that long to get this kind of language and to be spurred into action. And it's not like I was squandering my time. I was being purposeful. But the mission what the masterclass did for me and what your training has done and continues to do for me was just so impactful. When I signed up for your masterclass, I had no idea that suddenly I was going to be on a podcast or sharing your mission or anything, but that's how deep it struck.
Mm,
That's how impactful it was. And so here I am sharing the mission of the Women's School, which is so important, that we uplift women's dignity, that we help them regain their value, that we teach them that they are a light in the world. And it's not just about fluff, it's about really practical skill training. We don't just say pretty things here, it's really, hands to the plow stuff. So, yeah, and that mission, it just keeps on evolving. But for me, for my heart as a teacher, and having suffered as a teacher,
mm.
I've fires of burnout and overwhelm, and those really hard days, that my heart has come to this place where, I want to serve teachers because
Mm.
some of this suffering is unnecessary. It's just unnecessary, and we just need some training. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, we
Mm.
just need some training, like mothers, teachers, any kind of a profession. Isn't it funny that I feel like it's a massive oversight that women don't have access to training? Like
Yes.
it actually sounds like a pretty simple concept, you know, but if you think about it, it makes sense. Like teachers need training to teach. Why can't women access training to actually enhance what it means to be a woman in the world, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems like a novel idea, but it really shouldn't. That's kind of what we're trying to say in the women's school is that everybody needs training so they don't suffer unnecessarily. And that's really kind of our vision. And you said something about the language. Tell me how you think the language has shaped the women that you're guiding and you're coaching and yourself. Like, because that's part of the problem is there's no language. Talk me through the impact of language has given you through this work.
Like you say, January, language is the battlefield. So if you don't have the language, and okay, I'll just speak from my experience. You do have a certain amount of language that you pick up from the culture and from your family of origin and from your community, right? And maybe from what you read or watch. So you have a language that you carry, but you can get that can be kind of limited or
Mhm.
even limiting for you. And I know that I had my language and my thoughts that were, that were working in my mindset. They affect your mindset. So when you come to the women's school, you get a whole new language. And it's a language of hope, and it's a really practical language. I want to say again, it's a language of hope, but it's not fluffy hope. It's really practical. So your mindset gets expanded, your vision gets expanded, your possibilities get expanded because you've got all this new language coming in. And I have to say, like I see it's taken me even a couple of years because to start to have that language become part of me, because it is like learning a new language. I remember one woman that was going through the masterclass, and very, very quickly in the early parts of the masterclass, she said, "My husband's changed. He's really affectionate." And I said, "Oh, why do you think that is?" And she said, "Because I'm speaking a more hopeful language."
Wow.
So
Wow.
in those early weeks of the masterclass, that training and what she was hearing and what she was taking in was shifting her language that she was giving out. And that affected her husband and how he responded to her. It's
That's
really
a
powerful.
beautiful testimony because the other side of that to me is how many women are suffering unnecessarily, like we talked about, in their marriage simply because they have no language to actually communicate hope. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's like we're trying to solve the crisis of quality relationships and we have no language for it.
Yeah. And we're turning up with the language that we have and we're doing the best that we can, but there's
Yes,
more. There's
there's
so much
more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more. And that's what gives me hope. It's like even when you go into, to get help for your marriage, it's like you're trying to solve the same problem with the same skill set, the same language, and it really is so simple if you just kind of put, oh, yeah, you're right. To solve the problem of our marriage, I need a new language and a new skill set. And if you put it that way, it doesn't sound so daunting. It just gives women so much hope. Okay, so question for you. How have you seen the influence of the masterclass and the women that you've been guiding directly, especially maybe for teachers or whoever that I think you've come in contact with? That's a great example. But concretely, maybe you can share with the audience uh, really what it's like to do the interior work.
Mhm. So the influence of the masterclass, I've mostly been taking teachers through the
Mm,
masterclass. That's my circle that I move in because I am a teacher. And what I see as the influence of the masterclass, yes, that language of hope, but also I see these dreams start to
mm,
bubble up in women again, right? Because specifically these teachers, they've got their own families to take care of, as well as their classrooms, as well as their friendships, as well as their communities, as well as their homes. They've got so much going on. And within teaching itself, there is there are so many moving pieces coming at you all the time from all directions. And so you can really get lost in that overwhelm and things can get put aside or buried, and kind of lost. But once they start going through the women's school, and the foundation of the women's school, one of the foundations is that we learn how to dream again. And I
mm.
see just come to life again, and these dreams start bubbling up, and you get hopeful because we need a dream, right? Without a dream, we perish, yes? So
Yes.
they get hope again. So I hear their dreams coming up. I also see them very quickly, and the same thing happened to me, physically radiate.
Hmm.
do I mean? I mean that a woman who is teachers, we can get so tired, especially if you're in a school that's not functioning well. It's, that's another layer of or level of exhaustion that gets added to your plate, and you don't know how to manage that maybe. And so you become physically tired. You look physically tired.
Mm,
You like a physically tired kind of way because you don't have that energy or that inspiration or hope. And
mm,
again, very quickly in the masterclass, and it's not a superficial thing, even though it might sound it, that these women, they they physically change in front of your eyes. I'd
yeah.
seen it with my own eyes. It happened to me, and now I get to watch it happen in front of my own eyes. These women, they get their glow back. They stand up straight. They brush their hair. They've got a bit of makeup on and they've got a smile because it's that hope again. And it's a hope that's grounded in that truth, that beauty, and that goodness in context of their unique mission and their unique design. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I have seen that transformation external that's a byproduct of the internal. And you just see how connected our bodies are, and the things that burden our hearts, they show physically with
They
their
do.
aches, with their pains. And when you just give women a sense of purpose bigger and outside of themselves, a dream, it's like everything changes, Rachel. Like the burden of a life without a vision is so heavy to carry.
Yeah.
Like it's a heavy burden to carry, to live a life with no hope that this is it. Like,
Yeah, that's
and so I really think we are we are doing a disservice to women when we don't give them access to true training that would enable them to live. Period. Like live, not just, exist, and to
yeah,
live.
not just turn up and do the thing, but really to bloom and to live and to be all the creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, to flourish. God designed us to flourish.
Yeah, I
It's
love
such
it.
a yeah, and so okay. So here we're gonna pivot back into your questions because I know we had a lot of questions the last time, and you get to ask me questions.
Yeah.
So let's turn the tables, and I'm all yours.
Okay, I want to jump in straight into the deep end and I want to go big first and then
Oh,
we'll go smaller. Like you always say, macro to micro. So here's what I've been pondering lately because I am a teacher. I've been teaching for 17 years and I'm in a beautiful school just now, high
mm,
functioning school with high functioning management and high functioning teachers, beautiful community of parents, And I mean, it's not some kind of utopia. Of course, we have our bumps and good days and bad days. That's just life. And what I've been pondering is what would this community look like? Or what would any school community look like? Where the teachers had gone through your masterclass, where
oh,
the parents had gone through your masterclass, and where the principals and management have gone through your masterclass. I mean, that's a bold, big, bold vision. I would love that. Tell me what that community would look like, January.
the only thing I mean, first of all, like that's a visceral feeling for me, what you just described, because I wholeheartedly believe it would revolutionize culture. Like, you know what? When you're speaking, I see a light on the hill. Like that's what
Wow.
I see. Like a beacon of hope. Um, I see leadership because now you're rowing in the same direction with the same language of hope, the same accountability. I mean, it would revolutionize the families, the schools. I can't even take it. I mean, that's the dream of the woman's school, but if women were dreaming, if women were holding each other accountable, we're having deep, meaningful conversation, building skill set, we would not. There's no gossip. There's no cattiness. There's no drama. It would, it would just sort of kind of scale off, or because
Well,
everybody's sort of driven with this vision of their purpose. Gosh, but they know how. That's the thing. Like, imagine they're learning mind management skill in school, Rachel. I mean, and then the teacher goes, well, let's just manage our mind. Let's talk about emotional command. Let's talk about gratitude. Let's talk about pivoting. Let's talk about communicating our boundaries effectively. I mean, I can't handle it. But I I think that we can't not dream of that.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yeah, we can't not dream of that. We can't not push and hope for that. Yeah, I think as I've even just as the teacher who has been through that masterclass, as I walk into school, as I meet my parents at the door, I feel that having been through the masterclass, I can have a lot more compassion and a lot more empathy for the families that I encounter
Mm.
because now, oh, you just need the skill. You just
Yeah.
need a little bit of training. Oh, I can help with that. It's such a gift. Yeah, I think it's a big, bold, beautiful vision. Let's work on that one, January. Okay,
We
I'm
can't
going
not
to.
dream it. That's you and I. We cannot not dream it. It's a double negative.
We cannot not do it. You're so right. Yeah, because like you say, the world would be robbed. So, okay, I want to pivot to beginning teachers. And I really have such a heart for beginning teachers because for my own journey within 5 years of teaching, I was so burnt out. I
Mm.
was burnt out, I was exhausted, I was in overwhelm, and I was looking for a way out. I
Mm.
was I was looking everywhere, like, how do I get out of this? It was all those moving pieces coming at me. It was, yeah, just all those moving pieces and the things that, so many women, I'm going to speak about women because, we are the women's school, but so many women teaching is their dream.
Yeah.
And yet you come into your dream and there's all these moving pieces that you had no idea were part of your dream, as well as the nuts and bolts and, just the foundation of learning how to be a teacher. And all that training, all that learning how to be a teacher actually doesn't happen fully until you step into the classroom.
Mhm.
That's where you really learn how to be a teacher. And so I've been listening to the words that beginning teachers are using.
Mhm.
And I'm hearing language like this. I'm stuck. I
Mhm.
cry every day. I'm struggling. I feel like I'm close to a mental breakdown.
Oh,
I can't keep up. So this is what beginning teachers are suffering. And I have such a heart for that because I'm like, oh my gosh, I hear you. I went through that. And it's such an agonizing place to be because this was supposed to be your dream.
yeah.
And so what I'm thinking about that is for those teachers, that's the beginning of their awareness
Mhm.
of something's out of order here, something's not right. And it brought to mind our A5 formula that we use in the women's school. And it's a triangular shape. So, and at the top of that triangle is that awareness.
Mhm.
This is when you're starting to say, oh, something's really painful. And then the next layer of our A5 formula is assessment. We
Mhm.
give ourselves a little self assessment rather than just sitting with all those words, I'm stuck, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, get me out of here. We actually start to move into a little bit of action, and that would be that self assessment. And so I want to pass the baton over to you, January.
Mhm.
And can you offer for those people who are having that struggle, and they might not even be beginning teachers, you can be well experienced
Yeah.
and have this.
Yeah. It's a great analysis of kind of I think what's happening. It's a great analogy also. So why are they suffering? Let's ask. I think we want to get to the root cause. The root cause is where we want to heal things, right? And so you're a first year teacher, second year, and all of a sudden you're overwhelmed. Why? Well, if you stepped into any role in life where you have greater accountability, teacher, motherhood, right? Postpartum depression is the same thing. This dream that they have to be a mom all of a sudden gets yanked because now it's so hard postpartum. This dream they have a teacher, all of a sudden, how do I deal with students? Oh, all these work, it's overwhelmed. Why? Because the foundation was never there of the right skill set actually to help them build their dreams. So any dreams that's built on sort of rocky foundation, it cannot stand. And so but the problem is that the teachers are not even aware of the foundation that they needed. That's really the issue. It's like, why am I feeling overwhelmed? Well, let's just take it one step at a time. If you knew how to manage your mind as a foundational skill set prior to being a teacher, then you'd know how to think through the things that are coming your way. You're not saying I'm stuck. You're saying, what's the solution here? Very foundational emotional command, boundaries. So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to almost analyze the root cause of so much of the first year teacher overwhelm is because they needed the skills to actually sustain the dream, the foundational skills. And because they don't have it, they're just floundering. It's not their fault, right? It's not their fault that your students are a hot mess because maybe you didn't know how to draw firm boundaries, or you've got your institute, what is it called, the leadership, or administration, that may be putting way too much on your plate because you didn't know how to communicate effectively what's okay and what's not okay, and then you say yes to everything, or you don't know how to leave work and you go home and you've got a family. So identifying the root cause is essential, and the root cause is a lack of foundational skill set training. Now, why is that so hopeful? Because then you can just say, you know what, I just need to get on and get some foundational training on some of the most basic skill set. And this dream of mine won't actually, I won't give up on it. Because, Rach,
Mm,
here's the thing: how many great teachers came in with a great heart, who really has a heart to serve and are called to, actually, by God, by design, to um, become teachers and to care for the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual souls of children, but they've given up on that call because they were robbed of the skills that they needed to actually pursue and fulfill that call.
mm,
So
mm.
you want to escape, you're like, I just want to go somewhere else, and it doesn't even matter if it's a teacher or you're a nurse, you're going to run into the same problem.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I love that you talk about it as foundational training. And I just want to say this is not teacher bashing. Like, I'm a teacher. We're not bashing teachers. Like, we're just looking at that harder side of it, and we're trying to find a way forward, right? Or we are finding a way forward. And I love that you talk about it as foundational training, because January, once you're in the education world, all the professional development that you get, which is ongoing, you have your whole career, which is really great, is centered on education. And we could think that every piece of study that we need to take on has to be around something to do with education or management, or all these strategies you need for the classroom. Well, let's press pause on that, and let's say, actually, the invitation is to take some professional development on skill building for yourself so that you can operate in wholeness and function in wholeness strategically and practically, with hope, truth, and beauty and goodness in context of your dream, so that you can sustain your dream to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So just pause on all of that other education stuff just for a bit, and like shore yourself up, build yourself up with those skill sets and that language.
Yeah, and I also just kind of think about it as Olympians, right? All of a sudden you are going to the Olympics and you're like, okay, I'm ready to put on a show. I've read about this. I've read about jumping, and all of a sudden you have to perform. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't do it because you've never had the foundation of maybe practicing a good jump or practicing your breaststroke. And it's really, it goes back to, it's not your fault. It's actually, to me, it's systemic issue that is rooted in the lack of training that should be and ought to be in our institutions that are foundational. We really don't have it, well, because we don't even think about it. We don't know that we don't have it. We don't even think we need it. Like when you're a teenager, you need to know how to make a decision. And then when you're a single woman, that decision making skill needs to be layered. And then boundaries. Every season of your life requires new depth of skill. So when you've never learned it and all of a sudden you're here to teach and you're with 30, 50 students, I mean, you'd feel overwhelmed too. I would too. So I always tell that, anyone, any profession, teachers, there's no shame. We've all been robbed of it, but it ultimately is still your responsibility. You can't
Yeah,
escape it, otherwise you'll be running all your life. It's no
that,
different than motherhood. It's no different.
yeah. So
Moms,
there's an action there. Yeah.
yes,
Sorry,
and
go
I
ahead.
think, yeah, and I think, Rachel, the difference would be information versus formation, which is what we teach in the women's school. Is we take information and we actually integrate it into our life through practice, and that becomes a form. It takes shape. We form ourselves, and then that way that becomes your foundation. And so that way, all these new systems that you're coming in every single year, it has roots. you know how to kind of, it has, you're building a house on solid ground.
Beautifully said. I love that. Yeah, you are. And I look at there's many beautiful courses out there for teachers. There's amazing creatives. There's people who care deeply for teachers, and I've sort of been looking at a few of them and see, here's a course for teacher burnout. Are you a burnt out teacher? Are you exhausted? Here's a course for you. But when you sort of take a closer look, it actually turns out that this well-intentioned course is just designed to give a teacher more strategies in the classroom. And
Interesting.
okay, fair enough. You might need to up your game and learn a new strategy for your classroom for some aspect of it. But when you're burned out, when you're exhausted, it's not just your classroom. It's not just the teacher that needs taking care of and restoring and building up. It's the whole woman needs restoring. And that's what your masterclass does. It builds up and it restores the whole woman, not just parts of her. And that makes your masterclass really unique for teachers. Because if you're broken in the classroom and you're overwhelmed in the classroom, you're going to be broken and overwhelmed and exhausted and checking out at home and with your family and in your friendships. I know, I've been there. I've done it. I think I kind of lost you there, January. You're frozen for me. Let's just wait a tick and see if I can get you back. Okay, January will be back in a tick.
Rachel. Rachel.
I'm here.
What a day. I'm so sorry. My power literally just went out. It's so wild. I don't know what's going on. Please forgive me.
I think we blew it up. Our conversation just blew it up.
I use just my FaceTime camera because the whole actually Ryan, my office is 5 minutes down. The whole town has no internet, so
That
so
that's
it
how
just came back.
powerful.
It came off. I don't know, but it just came back on. So I'm just going to. So we're gonna cut that off, and then we're gonna pick it right off. I'm like, please tell her. I feel so bad. I'm sorry, friend.
Can't help these things. They just happen. It's just one of those days, January. And I'm going to have to wrap it up because I've got to get to work. Otherwise, I'll be having to practice that skill of having hard
Oh my
conversations.
God. Okay, you need to get going. How about we just sort of I asked that question and then we can wrap it up. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. So I want you to be
Really.
at peace. Um, okay, so I think we ended the question kind of ended. Do you want me to just end? Do you have like a minute or two, or how many minutes do you have left?
We can do it like 2 more minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, awesome. Great. So Ariana's here, so she knows to cut it up where we stopped. And then so okay, great. So Rachel, if you had sort of your dreams of what you envision for teachers in the next 3 years, what do you want it to happen? What do you wish and hope for teachers?
Wow. Wow. What do I wish and hope for teachers in the next 3 years? That they would reclaim their lives,
Mm,
their lives of wholeness and hope. And how would they do that? That they stepped into the invitation of the masterclass
mm,
and trained up for that, because you can say, oh, I'd love teachers to have a life of hope and wholeness and reclaim their family life and reclaim their dreams. And it's pretty, but actually, it takes hard work and it takes commitment and discipline. And you get that in the masterclass. It's a really practical equipping. So I would love for teachers to have reclaim their lives, have lives of wholeness, health, real health, integrated health, spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional health, to be functioning in their marriages with
mm,
peace and contentment, um, to be a friend with a light and impact in their friendship circle, to be women of dreams and visions, not just in their classroom, but beyond, And so, really well equipped woman, the kind of teacher that can leave her work at work and
mhm,
have peace with that. The kind of woman who can ride the bad days and the those busy seasons in teaching with grace and with just the reassurance that I can move through this season, I can get these tasks done, and I can do it in peace and show up in other places of my life in peace.
ah,
And a woman who is just nourished and sustained and well equipped.
mm.
Yeah, I love to see teachers in their dream of teaching, well equipped, nourished, whole.
Well, the whole time you're talking, all I can think about, and this is our last thought, is that imagine a teacher who's whole and what that does to the students.
Yeah.
Because it's often it's you don't even remember what your teacher sometimes teaches you. I mean, you remember the grammar, but really you remember how they make you feel, right? Like
Yeah.
I think of my teachers and I think of, I don't know what she essentially taught me about history. I know she was a history teacher, but I love being around her. And so I think essentially when you are alive, then you give life to your students, which is the vision that we have. So I think we can hold on to that dream, Rachel, you and I both, that
Yeah.
we need a school for women, teachers, mothers. We need a training school on how to be a woman. And I think that's how we restore culture. We bring hope, and it's not just empowerment, it's about equipping, it's about deep interior work. So we're going to hold on to that vision for all of those you listening that are teachers, or wherever you are, whatever role you play, give yourself a gift of training that will allow you to become who you are created to be. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here.
And thanks, January. It's been a beautiful time chatting with you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, we did it. Thank you, everyone.